Right, hello. Time for a stream. Thought I'd do a public one today. I sort of generally alternate between sort of members one, and sort of private ones. Well, members ones are the private ones, but and then the public ones. But so there we go. Stream today. As you can see, I've put a little bit of tinsel up and a little reindeer thing to make the background slightly Christmassy. When I go through all the decorations, I might end up putting a couple more up. But I don't want to, have to reach over there and put lots of stuff up and down. So right, planes, right, okay. So yeah, I've had a day doing stuff around my granddad's today. So and then for some reason I felt really tired sort of earlier today, so I had a nap partway through the day. Right, Peter, you've got your yellow one now. Looks quite good with the yellow one because it's the same as your trifoil, yellow and black. Hello, Richard. Yeah, he's all right, thank you, planes. It was the typical thing today of doing a little job for him that ended up being a bigger job because of stuff going wrong. So all right, Jake. But yeah, it was it's quite funny. I had to he wanted me to initially just like tighten up a light fitting for him. And then what ended up happening was I nearly got a shock off it, and because this house is like a really old one in terms of fuse boxes, I realised that there was like a live wire in there that was a shock hazard, and the thing was there, so I had to dismantle the entire light fitting and unplug it. 95, if I remember right. Cool, Nerd Central. Yeah, I won't be getting one until after Christmas because I'm, all the money at the moment I've either put towards the bunker or I've bought with a couple of random things that turned up. TR56 radiation monitor. Is Panax a brand of one? But let me have a look. Oh, I've got one of those, but I never got round to doing a video on it. It's a little Geiger counter. Basically, it's got a Geiger Muller tube inside it. And then yeah, that's actually a slightly different one than the one I've got, I think, because this one's got a range on it, unless that just means 0. But yeah, it looks like the one I've got, but yeah, it's an old MOD one, but I don't know what groups they were issued to. But how that one works, if it's like mine at least, is it's got a little Geiger Muller tube inside, and then it's got like a set range of whatever millirontgen range it was on the top. And essentially, it's just one that's meant to detect hard beta and gamma rays that get through the metal case. They shouldn't be, John, because they're covered by the Second Amendment. That's cool, Richard. Cutlass is still cool, isn't it? Is it, what type have you got carp fishing? Because some of them are good and some aren't, those rechargeable electric lighters, but the good ones are actually pretty good, and they've got better over time in terms of what's the word for it? Like actually I think like the contacts being better, the battery life being better, like not being as flimsy. That's good, Nerd Center. It's satisfying though, isn't it, when you take something like that apart or whatever and give it a really good clean? Because when I got my Schmidt Rubin, I took all the wood furniture off and gave everything a proper clean and then put all of it back. The good thing I think of the Rubin, if I remember right, is the iron sights are actually on the barrel and the sort of receiver bit of it. So it means when you take the wood off, you're not going to get any if the wood doesn't quite sit back the way it was on there, you're not going to get any like drifting with the sights. I don't know what you mean by GO5, but GP5 would work for tear gas, yes, if you put a new filter on it. You'd have to go see a doctor, Joshua, if you've got a serious illness thing. I didn't disassemble it. But yeah, when I did the Schmidt Rubin, I took like literally all the old wood screws out and everything, dismantled all of it, clean the inside and the outside, because I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any like sort of dry rot or whatever, or rot to the wood, sort of on the inside. So I cleaned basically all of it, polished it all up. Like nearly every gas mask's better than the GP5, except for some, free GP5 masks. Right, for people who can't be bothered, I've got loads of videos on gas masks. So if you're interested in gas mask specific things, watch the videos. I'm not going to let the stream kind of turn into what gas mask should I buy, because it gets very, very boring very quickly. You can composite book, but you'd obviously need it under a firearms license. Yeah, it sounds annoying, Nerd Central. Israeli gas masks are good, yep. All right. Oh, so it's from like a dental thing, is it? Well, I suppose that's all right if it's numb on purpose. I thought that meant then you literally you suddenly started losing feeling in your mouth. It's not called an EO19. That's the filters for it, Jesus. But yeah, that's a PBF that uses EO19 filters. Probably not really safe to use, in all honesty. That's cool. Shed on fire. Yeah, I've got a blood test next week, and that was a bit painful to arrange in the sense of the hospital wanted me to get one, but because the hospital wasn't having people in unless it was like emergency stuff, rather than the blood test being done at the hospital, I had to get my GP to do it. But then, like with the GP surgery, it says they're not taking appointments for anything like that. But I phoned up, and when I eventually got through to a human, I was able to say the hospital requested it, and then they've actually booked me in. The CDV 717 is basically Ash as CDV 715 with a long wire, where you can put the ionization chamber outside of a shelter. So yeah, the CDV 717 is pretty cool, but I mean, essentially it's just a 715 with a lead on it. But it's quite a cool meter. I've not actually got a 717. I've got a 715 and 720. I did actually buy a CDV 717 in the UK once, and of course the person had it delivered by Hermes, so I never got it. So that was a shame. If they'd have used a proper courier, I'd actually have a CDV 717. But yeah, I've been doing weightlifting and things shut on fire. I'll definitely do a video for it, Ultimatum, but I don't really know yet. No, I've not got round to watching Lion of the Desert yet, or The Message. Just raining. Justin Faber's not been particularly cold. It's just been rainy all day. Because I was going to do stuff on my granddad's roof with cleaning some of the moss type stuff off, and I couldn't do it today because it was so wet. So then I ended up having to do all that shit with the electrical wire that nearly killed me, and it would have killed him if I hadn't dismantled it. Because I know for a fact I can't trust my granddad to say like I'm unplugging this, don't plug it back in. It's like a live wire. I know for a fact he'd try and plug it back in again. So I unplugged it and I had to get all the cable cutters and screwdrivers and that and disassemble all this lighting. Yeah, they said it was going to be snowing here, Nerd Central, but I don't know if it is. It seems too wet, and not cold enough to snow. Well, I'd have at least got it Nerd Central then, but no, they just lost it somewhere in the thing, or it got stolen partway through the delivery thing. I don't know if I even got a refund for that one actually, because of how long it was taking. I might have been out like 30 quid on that one actually. I mean, that does happen now and again, because that's kind of the annoying thing with eBay, is that obviously although their buyer protection is very good, the issue you sometimes have is basically if something drags on a bit too long with stuff that looks like it's still in the delivery process and it just disappears. Right. I'll get rid of the person spamming random messages that don't make any sense. I think they will go back down again. I think a lot of people that might have bought loads of masks might just sell them again when they've not got a need for them. All right, Eltrix? Although I kind of imagine, though, that some people might keep some masks due to Corona, but they think, there might actually be a need for this. All right, Sheep Strangler? Yeah, all right. Weird day today, just doing stuff around my granddad's nearly getting electrocuted. Yeah, then for some reason I was really tired earlier, so I had a nap this afternoon. But yeah, helmets are cool, aren't they, Boldingtowski? But yeah, I bet it'll be slush, yeah. Yeah, so it's been snowing in Scotland, has it, Rab? But I suppose, yeah, that's probably a fair bit colder up there, isn't it? I've got some knives, but I've not got anything really interesting in terms of knives. I've got a couple of old military-style ones and bayonets, but check out Weapon Collector's channel if you want to see a load of really cool knives. I think Shed on Fire, it really depends who they send it with. Like it's never a problem. I've never found like if they send it like via FedEx or whatever, I've never had any issues. But I guess if they send it via a regular post, it might be an issue. That's a 9 ultimatum. I don't think they actually do Shed on Fire. From what I understand, I think the eBay thing is just basically like a collection of different things that, it's through their system, because I think Hermes is technically in that. Yeah, you can get swords in the UK. There's actually swords in this room. There's a couple of, all right, Peach, there's a couple of swords that are like not allowed, weirdly, but all proper swords are allowed. As in, like cutlasses, sabers, falchions, long swords, katanas that are made properly, all those. So yeah. Yeah, ultimatum, it's sharp. Weapon, that's the one Weapon Collector resharpened for me. Because the edge got dinged in when I did a pumpkin chopping video with it before, so Mike like resharpened it for me. My dad used to collect coins, doesn't anymore. So, okay, you were saying crazy to think that in California down in the valley it's mostly warm even during the winter. But now the driveways towards the Sea Air and Nevada mountains, and now they hit places with feet of snow. I suppose in the mountains it makes sense, doesn't there? It doesn't if you get a bit of snow. But yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? If you can literally be only a few miles from somewhere and there's not snow and then there's like desert or whatever. Cool. What sort of pipes are they, WTOs? I mean, I assume they're smoking pipes, but Shed on Fire. I don't think that law's enforced anymore. I've never seen a longbow policeman come around saying, "Why aren't you shooting your longbow today?" Yeah, hangers are just sort of slang name in the central. It seems for a lot of different types of swords, because you see quite a few swords that are referred to as hangers. But I really like the 1796 cutlasses. Like, there's the heavy cavalry one and the light cavalry one, and both of them are pretty cool. But annoyingly, I don't think there's any really good reproductions, and I think that's what Richard was saying as well. That, there's a couple of all right ones, but they're not that close to the originals, which is a real shame because they're really cool, sort of iconic swords. That's cool, Callum. My least favorite old Soviet mask, probably a PMK1. Yeah, I've got, as in English Civil War, American Civil War. I've got a reproduction US cavalry sword from like the 1860 period. Um, I don't know. I don't think you can import them. I think they have to be bought through companies already here, as far as I'm aware of how the law works here. So basically, let's say, like, if I go on a sword shop, like Southern Swords or whatever, they can sell you stuff because they've already imported it as a business, but I don't think you're allowed to just randomly, like, buy swords. Um, Hammers or hangers, Richard, but yeah, that's a bit strange, isn't it? All right, Braden. Um, Least favourite swords. Hard to say, Nerd Central, because I suppose you'd have to try out every sword, wouldn't you, to know what it's like. But weirdly, I find like the double-sided arming type swords, long swords, are fairly hard to use without a lot of training. They're not bad swords. It's just you need way more training to use them well than just single-handed, sort of single-edged swords. Yeah, that's the thing, Justin Vapor. I think most people like snow are the people who never have any jobs or anything they need to do in it. They're the people who can look out the window and go, "Oh, that's look pretty. I'll make a snowman." Yeah, Richard, is it due to like the weight of them and like weight and length of them essentially? Are those the ones as well that you can only thrust with, or are you on about like the actual ones with the two sword edges to them? Is that the one that's a bit like a sickle shaped thing, Joshua? The Kopesh, a bit like a shottle. Is it that sort of shape? The one where it's kind of got the weird sort of curve to the sword. Yeah, I mean that's a shame, isn't it, Ultimatum, if they got in trouble and that got confiscated. But yeah, I'd find it cool if I accidentally bought a sword cane, but then it would have to go in a museum, I guess, because although it depends on the date of sword canes in the UK, doesn't it? I think they're another one of those things that falls under if they're old enough, you can legally own them because they then come under sort of historical laws as opposed to like modern things. I don't think they're the same size, Shed on Fire. I'll be sending it back soon to Noah. I'll have to get his address from him soon, and then probably next week send it back because I've already done several videos on it. Yeah, that's almost like a 6-foot sword, isn't it, Rab? Like 4 to 6 foot long, that sword. But yeah, I've seen a picture. Didn't that get stolen at one point? If I remember the William Wallace sword. But oh, 20 gauge cane of a cavalry scheme down. Yeah, I've seen there's some old interesting things, Claire, isn't there, with like the sort of rifle canes and all those sort of weird things you see. It's almost like stuff you'd see on Forgotten Weapons. I doubt though if you tried that in reality, Aldrin, I imagine you'd go to prison because I doubt they're going to say, "Oh, that old law means you've got away with murder." No, I've never seen jousting done in real life. I've seen a few things at medieval things where they do like reenactment type things, but I've never seen jousting done. Yeah, that makes sense, wouldn't it, Claire? What's my favourite gun? Like historically, I mean, I'm really tempted to say the FAL because I just love the FAL. Um, but obviously, I do understand that there's a lot of better modern rifles now in terms of like accuracy and all the sort of handling of it. Oh yeah, that is cool, Mike. Yeah, because I'm sure I'd heard that there was like ones like small caliber rifles inside like canes. Is there an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine with a Mach 11 in it? What? Well, the SLR is a foul. Shed on fire. Yeah, when I've been to Warwick Castle, I've never seen jousting there. Obviously, they do the trebuchet, don't they? I did not say the FAMAS. Yeah, I know, Richard, with that one I've got, like the really long rapier with the actual blades to it, I can show you. That would be one I'd struggle to cut with because of, yeah, like the actual physics of the sword. Like, you know, if you were really skilled with it, you could do. But yeah, like this one, that sort of thing, isn't it? Where you've got the double-edged sword, but yeah, it would actually be very difficult, I think, to cut effectively with that due to the sheer sort of length and weight of it. Yeah, I think the point was somebody said, didn't they, is there any sort of swords I don't like? And I certainly don't dislike those sort of swords. It's just I wouldn't be any good with them. Thomas the Tank. Right, let me search Thomas the Tank Engine Mach 11. Oh, right, I see. So it's like somebody who's put a Mach 11 inside a Thomas the Tank Engine like toy. Sorry, I thought you meant the episode then. So it's like a stealth Mach 11 disguised as Thomas the Tank Engine. No, yeah, because what I thought you were on about, I thought you were on about as like an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine. Like Thomas was transporting a truck full of Mach 11s. The Fat Controller was going to use them to shoot some fools. You know, I thought you were going to say that sort of thing. Because there's weirdly, you can find some on YouTube. They sometimes did joke episodes that were never aired of certain series that were like made for the actual people that, like, you know, and the families, you know, like they were like family and friends of the people who worked on it. So they sometimes do like these really rude sort of episodes that were never to be aired. Oh, is that the stupidly big caliber one, Ultimatum, if I'm remembering right? Yeah, naval cutlasses are quite I've got right behind me, isn't it? This is like a reproduction naval cutlass, and yeah, this is very easy to wield in comparison to that rapier because much shorter. You know, the point of balance is much better. Ever so slight curve to it, like you said. So yeah, it chops well, and you can still thrust quite well with it because it's not a big enough curve that it puts you off thrusting. But yeah, that was that's behind me, and I sometimes forget that's actually right behind me when I'm streaming. I have never proper cut myself on a sword, no, Nerd Central. I have before XX Arctic Sniper, but it depends how much their postage is. I think it's a lot cheaper now. But a while ago, you had to really sort of want to get something because often you'd have to spend like £15 to £30 on the postage. I suppose that's a point you could do. All right, Max? That's all right. Yeah. Sometimes I stream earlier during the day, but yeah, good to see you on. You all right? I've literally got loads of videos on my channel, Maximo, recommending different masks. So I would just say, look at one you can find wherever you are. If you're saying is that a radio, no, that's a Geiger. It's not actually a Geiger counter. It's I assume it's an ionization chamber inside there. No, I've not used it since doing the video of the pumpkins Nerd Central. It's all cleaned off, obviously, in that, but at the moment it's just, you know, safely sitting away. Yeah, you have caused confusion and delay, and people are saying this is a bad railway. I always like the YouTube poops of Thomas, where it's like, you have caused confusion and delay, you cunt. You know, it's like all those where they've sentence mixed Ringo Starr into saying. I think there's literally a Thomas swear video, isn't there, where it's like loads and loads of sentence mix swearing. Let me find it if it's still up and that YouTube haven't taken it down. Thomas the Tank Engine swear. Can I find it? There's one that's just like a mixtape of swearing. I can't remember what the video is called though. Of course, every time I think of Thomas the Tank Engine, I think of Shed 17. Which, if you haven't seen Shed 17, it's fucking amazing. Let me just swear compilation. No, I can't. Typically, I can't find it at the moment, which is typical. I mean, it could be that YouTube's taking it down. Well, basically, Ultimatum, if you're asking what the video was, like, and obviously, if you find it, you can find it, but it's one where it's like they've just done loads and loads and loads of sentence mixing, and they've put all of these swears in one video. So, you know, it's just like a massive list of swear words, but like Ringo Starr reading them out. Let me actually just... Thomas, the Tank Engine WT. Was it WTL Network that did a load of the really good YouTube poops? Yeah, okay. Let me put his name in and then swear, because I think... Let me just check if this is the thing where you... Thomas the Swear Engine. No, it's not that. But, yeah, I'll have to have a look at some point. There's sadly, it's you can't just simply open a museum. I think there's even licensing stuff of all that, isn't there? Even if you had the space to do it. Cheers, Max. No, the only close to the US dosimeter I have, except for the CDV 742, is actually a British one, but it's clearly using the US CDV thing, and it is a 0 to 150 Rontgen one. Although you're not going to see that, are you, really, on there? Annoyingly. But, without a light being behind it. Let me just put a light behind it. If it shows up. See, it's going to be too bright, I reckon. Yeah, but yeah, it's basically it's definitely a US style one from the shape of like the metal and everything. I'm very lost with what we're on about now, Nerd Central. Yeah, what guy is that? That's me. That's all right, $5. At the moment, as I said, I'm trying not to buy anything because you know, saving for the bunker. Cheers, Max. Thank you. When I got the FM12, it was only about £30 to £40. It was a good price. Right, Nick's Knives? But yeah, at the moment, obviously, with it Christmas, I'm getting gifts for some people, so that's using up some of the money. And obviously, I'm saving up for the bunker. That's French riot armor if you're looking at that. Ah, that sounds like yeah. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, there's Hype's found an unusual Chinese Geiger counter. Well, not to say unusual, but one you'd never see really on eBay. So I'm probably going to obviously be buying that, and that's kind of one of those unexpected things I always make sure I've got a bit of money for. You know, if somebody spots something for sale that you wouldn't normally see. So I think it's probably very similar ranges to a Soviet DP5, but like a Chinese rip-off of a DP5. Um, where was that one, Claire? The one in Norfolk, if you're on about that one, actually went for about 50 grand in the end. It originally said it went for 17,000, and then if you looked at the listing later, it said it went for like 50 odd grand. No, I don't think you can legally buy military flamethrowers here. I think they'd be under a weapons ban, wouldn't they? No, Richard, I'll have to watch that at some point. Yeah, that's pretty close, Flazzy, to where my uncle, who's deceased now, or my great uncle, used to live in Bristol. He died a year or two ago, but he was in that sort of Seven Beach, Avon Mouth sort of area. Well, yes, I'm going to buy a bunker. That's why I'm on about buying a bunker. I wouldn't randomly keep talking about buying a bunker if I wasn't going to buy a bunker. Sorry, that's the only thing that frustrates me with the whole ROC bunker thing is every time, I keep getting asked the exact same questions on it. Well, I don't think you can legally buy nukes either. Well, state in America, or just state anywhere, because the state of Sealand's pretty cool. In the US, well, bear in mind I've never been to the US. I mean, Texas is like the iconic state, isn't it? Because Texas. Cool, Joshua. But yeah, like I said, I don't know about the history of those Khopesh swords. Yeah, but you can't just simply move to the US. This is another one of those problems. It's you have to pay a lot for the unless you're like invited in almost, or you're doing some sort of work visa that gives you easy access, or you marry an American. For the most part, it's quite hard to get US citizenship if you're in like a Western European country. They made it pretty hard to do. No, I've got not ham radio stuff, Max, but Hype recently sent me a load of radio comms gear type stuff that I need to get around to doing a video on and setting all up. Cool. Let me have a look, Claire. Thank you. Obviously, I know to change the dots to actual dots, but yeah, that's a site I've not used before. Oh, Unique Property Agency. I've looked at this one before. Let me bookmark it. For some reason, I've not got this one bookmarked because there's also Unique Property Bulletin, which was pretty good. Anyway, assumed I just click properties or search or whatever. How do I actually use their site? Or is it left and right arrows? Oh yes, there's one that went for 18 grand on there, but when did that sell? That's a good price for one. Rundown Norfolk. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, that wasn't the one I was thinking of in Norfolk. There's quite a lot in Norfolk, isn't there? If I'm right, that might be the one that's been on sale loads of times. Yeah, it has been. I think that individual one. Because I've seen like that listing loads and loads of times with like the pictures where the bloke had converted like a shower into it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, the fact that he plumbed a shower and a toilet into it is pretty cool. But yeah. See, if that had come up, and it's freehold, isn't it? So yeah, if that had come up when I'd if I'd have had 18 grand that came up, I'd have bought that. But at the moment, I don't use consoles. I've just got the PC. Right, Chris? Oh, that's cool, Vampire. Which model is that? Like the military ones or civil defense ones? Royal Observer Corps Ultimatum. It's like a spin-off thing from the RAF. They used to be used to spot planes. So like basically, if all the radars and that went down, the idea is that you can literally have somebody with binoculars, like phoning in or radioing, what the planes going over were. Yeah, I'll have to keep checking the MOD auction sites as well. That's a good point, Claire. I know, I know when the MOD auctions vehicles a lot, don't they? But yeah, it's kind of frustrating, isn't it, when you want to find them and they, like you say, they've taken them down for whatever reasons, like national security reasons, even if they are like surplus type things. I did go up recently and had a look at one near me that like I said to loads of people, kept saying, "Oh, are you buying that one?" Like, no, it's not even for sale, and it would be really expensive. The field it's on. M1951, is that the basically M9 clone type one? Yeah. But yeah, but like I said, I went to have a look at one just simply because is one still in Oxfordshire. Sadly, nearly all the ones that I found a list of in Oxfordshire have just been bulldozed at this point. That's cool, Flazzy, if it's sort of hidden in the trees. There are some gas masks in the Fallout games, if that's what you mean. Or do you just mean Fallout as in nuclear Fallout? What is the most unique thing I have? That's an interesting question. I have to have a think about that. Hard to say, really, isn't it? 'Cause, I've got like some weird gas mask and Geiger counter type things, but that does that mean it's unique or not? I don't know. Yeah, well, as I was saying, Claire, it's a combination, isn't it, of finding one that comes with a good bit of land with it, good price, and all that. No, I don't have any World War One gas masks. I've got a World War One bayonet, but that's the only World War One thing I technically have. I've got a sort of cheap repro of a World War One gas mask, a PH gas hood replica, but yeah, exactly, access, because that one I looked at the other week didn't really have very good access. You'd have to basically park in a local car park that didn't have many spaces and walk to it every time. Yeah, I've still got mine, Richard. My mum weirdly bought one recently. I don't know why she wanted one. I don't think she's ever used it, but she ended up buying one. I bet she bought it for the tens machine thing. But getting nuked, I guess, Nerd Central, because if you're right under it, it's very quick. Not on a stream, Josiah, but you can see them on videos. Yeah, it's a shame, Max, isn't it? As in, like, locations of them lost, you mean, or just like lost as in filled in with stuff or whatever? Yeah, well, the thing is, if it's locked Flazzy and the outside looks all right, the inside's probably all right, even if it was one that you had to, like, drain out when you get it and repaint. But yeah, like I said, at the moment I'm still saving up. I don't think there's any chance I'll be getting one this year. We're right at the end of the year, aren't we? I mean, a corona vaccine would be pretty good for Christmas, I think, but that's basically happening now, isn't it? as of next week, the UK is starting vaccination. I'd be pretty low on the vaccine list, but it's kind of good to know we're near the sort of beginning of the end of this now, until another one comes along, I guess. They were arguing with anti-vaxxers on the radio yesterday, kind of maybe on a facepalm really hard. I don't think you can legally put turrets around the bunker, Nerd Central. I've got quite a few helmets. What ones would you determine as interesting? I mean, I've got loads of colder ones, but a lot of those are just steel pots in different shapes. But I've got a couple of like more modern helmets, but yeah, I'll be off in a few minutes, by the way. But if Mike's still on, are you on Twitch tonight, or are you having another night off? Because if you're on, I'll probably be on, but I might end up going to bed quite early again tonight. I've got World War II helmets. I've actually got one handy if you want to have a look. I think it's handy anyway. I thought it was over there, but maybe it's not. Oh, it is. There's a World War II helmet, look. You could modify certain gas masks, but I don't know why you'd want to. All right, Mike, that's fine. Yeah, like I said, I've been quite tired today, but it might just be because it took me ages to fall asleep last night, and then I had to get up quite early today, so I think it might have just, randomly caught up with me, the tiredness, because I'd normally have had a lay in, Well, the heat from inside would melt the snow, wouldn't it, Nerd Central? Like, again, what I'd probably do if I could get permission to build on the land, as I've said to a few other people, is probably put a little sort of outhouse style structure around the hatch, because you'll see that some of the ones kind of have that on some of the places. I've got a German helmet, but it's rusty and got no liner in it. I've got a few other World War II helmets, but yeah. But yeah, because you'll see some on some of the places, like that are basically the slightly bigger ROC bunkers, like the ones that the ROC didn't use, but the MOD still built. Yeah, and that's a very simple solution, Flazzy, isn't it? Put a false roof over it. Yep. Oh, something hall. That's not a useful name to know it by. But yeah, the some of the airfield ones are pretty cool because basically they built them like ROC posts, because I guess it was the RAF or MOD making them or whatever. But they were basically just a bit bigger, and I think some of those were 2 entrances, and like one of the entrances was a standard like hatch, and the other one was like just essentially like a brick sort of thing with a door, and obviously that went into either a staircase or a ladder that went down. Yeah, you could also do that. Like I said, I wouldn't worry too much about snow, in all honesty. I think I'd worry more about like chavs vandalizing it. Like also an old Swedish helmet. Probably quite a lot, Nerd Central. But I have chronic health problems anyway, so I don't know if I'd even notice. Yeah, exactly, Chris. There's lots of things you could do with it, like like you could do the Calvert and Hatch thing, couldn't you? Like with the rotor bunkers, build a fake bungalow over it. What is my favorite type of nuke? The one with the biggest bang. So like SAR bomb or something. But again, I know there's like lots more modern Merv type stuff. Like the other helmets to the left, there's quite a few there, but the one you can see piled up: Swiss M71, Yugoslav M5983, is it? And the French M51 helmet, which is totally not a rip-off of the US M1 helmet. We totally designed our own helmet, don't you say we stole it? But yeah, so I've got 2 Brodies actually in terms of these, but let's see if you're off. But yeah, these are the ones without the asbestos liner, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Because the World War One Brodies had asbestos in, didn't they, for the liner? That has a habit of actually like breaking apart and going everywhere. Apparently, because I was watching a video where a collector was warning people about them. Which gas mask behind me? If the PBF, if you can see that, that's the PBF. There's others behind me as well, but they're not really visible. Well, yeah, Ultimatum. They made them in quite a few different colours, like with paint. Because I've got another one that's more like a tan colour. They were still very tough helmets, Claire, when they originally came into service. They saved a lot of lives in terms of like shrapnel and that coming downwards. The one with the long tube. I don't know what you... Oh, the one on the wall. That's the Soviet PBF. PDF, sorry. That's the PBF. That's the PDF. It's a bit messy, Vampira, but that's always because I've had times where I've got it really nice and organised and clean behind me, and then people always like, get this down for a stream, get that down for a stream, and then it always gets thing. Speaking of vacuums, though, Nerd Central, this arrived today. So yeah, that came today, so at some point I'll play about with that. Yeah, it's a big old triode. It's called a rectifier tube. It was... I don't know what this particular one was used for, but these are like the big voltage, regulating ones back in the day when you had like big old radios and CRT televisions. But most of the ones in like CRTs tended to be that big. So as that one's really big, I don't actually know. That might have been for like more industrial style equipment. But yeah, the reason I've got it is, if you don't know, if you run high voltage through those, they make X-rays. And I wanted to just do a couple of experiments with ion chambers and seeing if I could do it. But I'm not going to go to like two extremes to do it, for safety reasons as well. Because there's videos on YouTube where people like dangerously irradiate themselves, like messing about with tubes like that, putting like, massively high voltages through them. I was just more interested, could I get it to, do it? Oh, that's cool. Where did you find that? Was that just for sale, or did you find it? Yeah, if you don't know the history of the X-ray, when Röntgen discovered them, it was because he had a Crookes tube, which, there's a Crookes tube. Not like the really old style Crookes tubes, but he had one of these. I've done videos on this. You can see the plasma shoot across when you put this on a high voltage. So basically, he discovered, X-rays by accident when he was just doing some experiments with basically vacuum tubes. And then he was like, oh, we can use these for like seeing if people have broken bones. And the reason he called them X-rays, X the unknown. Ah, thank you. Okay, nice. So this rectifier tube was used to make AC from the wall plug into DC for anode voltage. Well, considering there's one behind me that I already pointed out, yes, I do. Ah, so you just bought one. That's cool. I saw on Etsy recently there was a load of Lancaster parts for sale, which are pretty cool, but obviously I've got no use for them. But, I thought if somebody was like a real plane hobbyist or something, I thought that'd be great Christmas gifts, buy them some like old plane parts. Anyway, I'll be off in a minute. But thanks everybody that's been on. This has been quite a good stream for the most part, because sometimes when you do the public ones, you get people spamming like stupid questions all stream, but I think there's only been one or two people spamming on this one, so it's been quite good. Oh, Lancaster's a really good bomber for when it came out, Did you know originally there's a Mark Felton video on this, just before I go off? the Lancaster was going to be used for the nuclear bombings of Japan, but because the Americans wanted an all-American plane to do it, they had to like modify the B-29s to do it. Yeah, I might remember that video, Richard. But yeah, Photonic Induction has a load of really cool videos, doesn't he? But yeah, popping stuff with his massive, like huge electric thing he had. But yeah, anyway, right, I'll be off because otherwise I'll never go off. But yeah, have a good evening, everyone. And yeah, bye bye. See ya.